delighted to see all of you and to welcome alumni back. So just raise of hands. Who's a John Jay alum? Wow, great. Good to, hello. Good to have you all back. Just shout out the names of your law schools that you represent.
New York Law School.
New York. And NYU. Brooklyn. Cardozo. Anybody out of New York? Okay, New Jersey, that'll count.
Wow.
Truro, okay.
Long Island.
Still in New York.
Quinnipiac?
Sorry?
Quinnipiac?
Quinnipiac? Yay. Connecticut, okay. Where else? Down here? New York Law School, great. And
Maryland.
And Maryland, thank you, Jose, right? Okay. So it's great to have all of you here. And what you know is that you represent, the alumni represent now a growing number of John Jay students who have gone on to law schools. And Elizabeth will help me with the numbers here, but last year our students were accepted at, what's the number of? 80 law schools. So not all of them within commuting distance, so the fact that you're here is great, but I also want to acknowledge that there are many more alumni like you who are out there studying law somewhere around the country, and it's a real tribute to the Pre-Law Institute that we've been able to get that reach, that national reach. And what we also know is that those law schools, once they get a John Jay student and they understand how well prepared you are, the door is open for more. So the pioneers who open up those doors are really making it possible for a pipeline of others to come through. It's a version of the immigrant story, right? The first wave in sort of establishes the beachhead, then there are others coming, in this case, coming from John Jay to follow your lead. And we're delighted to see so many New York City law schools represented here, because that means it's likely that you'll be practicing law here in our city and giving back in a very, very concrete way. And that's sort of the CUNY idea, is that we at CUNY are central, absolutely essential, indispensable to the well-being of the city, not just economically, but in terms of the civic health of the city. So it's good to see all of you representing your institutions. So I want to say at the outset that this is a year of transition in leadership at the Pre-Law Institute, and that we are here, those of us who have been blessed to have Vielka Holness in our life are here carrying out the work that she would like us to carry out, even in her absence. So delighted that her partner Judy Keenan is here representing. Could you just stand up? By applauding you, we're also saying thank you to Vielka. And Vielka was quite a great spirit here at John Jay, and made the Pre-Law Institute what it is. And everybody who is here now studying law or hoping to study law, you are deeply indebted to this woman. So we honor her by being here today. But we're also welcoming her successor, Charles Davison, who's just could not be better and more impressive, and carrying on her legacy in a very direct leadership way. And we also, there's Elizabeth. There's Elizabeth Rockley, who is also an important leader here. And then another person I wanted to recognize is the chair of the advisory board of the Pre-Law Institute, Ed Davis, is here. Just as he put food in his mouth. Other members of the advisory board, if you're here, just raise your hands. I'm not seeing who's here. Okay. We're very fortunate to have a group of lawyers in the city who have helped bring us to this point. So let me just take a minute to, in my words, tell you what you already know, which is how special the Pre-Law Institute is, and why we created this now nearly 10 years ago. The story I tell, which is a true story, and I hope it doesn't, for those of you who heard it before, it's not like, getting repetitive at this point. But the story I'd like to tell is of my first fall, or really summer here as president of John Jay, when I welcomed the incoming class. I welcomed the incoming class and asked them, just for a show of hands, how many of you are interested in going into law enforcement? And it was about a quarter. How many of you are interested in forensic psychology? It was about a quarter. How many of you are interested in forensic science? Slightly less, but that's a very demanding field. And just on a totally a lark, without really knowing the answer, I said, how many of you are interested in going to law school? And it was 20% of the incoming class. So, and we've confirmed that with data since. So we know that a lot of students come to John Jay with a general sense, not a very specific sense, but a very general sense that this is a place that will prepare them to go to law school. And we put together the plan that became the Pre-Law Institute after that, knowing that there was a obligation that we had as the leaders of this institution to help them make that dream come true if that's why they were here. We also were realistic enough to know that not everybody, after 4 years at John Jay, would say, that's actually what I really want to do. Perhaps I want to go into other form of public service or go on to graduate school and get a PhD in English literature. You never know. That's the beauty of an education. But what we knew is that at the front door, there was this inchoate sense that law was part of their future. It was something that made them come here. So that's the obligation that we realized and activated in the creation of the Pre-Law Institute as a 4-year program where you can join at any time, but of getting ready for the application to law school. Sometimes we know that that takes a while to make happen. You don't always do it the first year out, the second year out. It took me 9 years to realize that that's really what I wanted to do. So sometimes it takes a while. That's what life is about. But we wanted this time, while you're here, if this is what you want to do, to emerge from here as a graduate fully prepared to go to law school. So the best compliment that we get from the law school faculty and admissions offices is that John Jay students come well prepared. And that means that it's not that they've studied law here, just the opposite. It means that they're prepared intellectually, scholastically, to do the very, very demanding work of law school. There's no better compliment that we get than that they're well prepared. So that's our job. And the celebration, now 10 years in, is that I think we've done it pretty well. And today is good evidence of that. And the fact that we have so many students going on to such good law schools, and with such, Elizabeth, one more number, was it $12 million last year? 13. There were 13. Who's counting? Last year, so this is the record that the seniors have to break. Last year's students going on to law school received $13 million worth of financial aid. Not all for one person. They got, and that's a great tribute to the strength of your candidacy. Is the law schools would say, we want you so badly that we're going to set aside some of that very precious resource called scholarship money for you. So don't think it's not possible, just the opposite. Know that it is possible for you to go to law school, even if you come from limited means in your family background. You can go to law school. We'll help you figure it out so you can get the most financial aid you're qualified for, graduate with the least, maybe zero financial debt, and go on and practice law if that's what you want to do. So that's our deal. And the fact that there are 300 or so people here today who signed up for Law Day today, first year it's been on Friday, by the way. I think that's maybe the way to do it. Is a signal to those of us who are in leadership positions that this deal is resonating, that it really makes sense for you to have this opportunity. So we've been joined by another senior leader of the college, and let me recognize first, not her, but another couple of people who are here. First of all, our Vice President for Marketing Development, Jane Rosenberg, is here. So say hello to her. Our Executive Director for Development, Catherine Cousins, is here. So the two of them are the ones that help raise the money. Be very nice to them, right? Our Director of Alumni Affairs is here, Gerald Kemp, who you'll meet as you exit the college. If you're meeting here today, most institutions wait until you graduate before you meet the alumni officer. We don't think of it that way. But in some ways, most importantly, we're welcomed by our new interim dean of undergraduate studies, Dara Byrne, Dr. Byrne. So I get to introduce our luncheon speaker, and then I have to do the rude thing, which is leave immediately, because as you may know, CUNY's in a little bit of a budget battle with our governor in Albany, and that's consuming a lot of our time. I'm going to get back to that, but I want to be here with you. So each year we have a speaker who comes to us, and if you look at the list, these are very highly regarded lawyers, civil rights lawyers often, people who are engaged in public service practice, in the academic community, And we asked them to come here to talk to you about what the legal profession's like. They talk often about their personal journey, just so you could say that could be me, but really to elevate the Pre-Law Institute at John Jay, to make this a place where people say, oh, I gave that lecture, the Jacobs lecture at John Jay this year. So this is part of the building process that we are doing here at John Jay, just keep building the institution. And that means that we have wonderful friends from outside John Jay who come here to elevate our discussion. So today's special friend is Jose Bahamonde-Gonzalez, and I get to introduce him and then give him a token of our thanks and then disappear. I'm sorry, Jose, that I have to do that. I'll get the, I'll watch it on YouTube. So Jose is a friend of the college, a friend of the Pre-Law Institute, of long standing. He comes from a great institution, University of Maryland. It's also now called, I don't know how long it's been the Carey School of Law, but it's a number of years now.
Yes.
And your branding was done by our branding guru also, so I know it from that point of view. So he's the Associate Dean of Professional Education at the law school. So University of Maryland Law School is if you want to find a very good public-oriented and public law school, this is one that's on the rise. So I know them through a number of connections, so check them out. But he also has a background working in many other institutions of similar stature. Georgetown University, he was Assistant Director of Career Services. Prior to that, he was at, where we're going down to, there's one other, Miami, right? University of Miami, right? My notes are a little squiggly here, right? So he knows whereof he speaks when he talks about legal education around the country. Everywhere he's been an advisor, particularly to Latina students. That's been a particular passion of him. But his real interest is in diversity within legal education, but generally in increasing access and excellence. And his national role, which I'm sure he'll speak about, where he was a good colleague of Yelka's, was in the National Association of Law Placement, where she was also an officer. He's held numerous positions there, including Vice President and Director and Chair of the Leadership and Diversity Task Force. So he holds a BS from the University of Massachusetts, a JD from Syracuse, and we're delighted to welcome Jose back to John Jay. So Jose, I also get to give you a token of our thanks, which is, we give out all sorts of little things here, mementos to people now. This is my favorite, and I'll show you why. So it's a paperweight, but the designers sort of cut off the corner so it sits like this. So the only part of the deal here, Jose, is that if any of us ever visits, this has to be on your desk.
Absolutely.
This does not go in the closet because it is gorgeous, right? So highly visible, logo in the middle. Thanks for coming. So in 10 years, any one of you can get one of these. Just do everything that he did.
Thank you very much, President Travis. I know you have to run, but before you leave, let me tell you, I put my hand up, and although I'm not a John Jay graduate, I have admitted and have graduated many John Jay graduates at the University of Maryland. So I'm here to represent all of them. So thank you. Good afternoon. Okay, let's try that again. Good afternoon. Great. Now, I'm truly honored to be with you today and humbled by your invitation. And I'm gonna read the beginning because I may get a little emotional, and I wanted to make sure I could stick to the script. I am grateful to Director Charles Davidson and Assistant Director Elizabeth Broccoli for inviting me to come back to John Jay this year and serve as your luncheon speaker. I have been coming to John Jay for years, invited by my dear friend and colleague, Bielka Holmes. Bielka was a true friend and a superb colleague. Both of us share a passion about diversifying the legal profession, and we both ended up in academia and committed our professional life to supporting, encouraging, and facilitating the path to law school and through law school for all of you, for many of you that came before you, and for all of you. So, whenever I felt defeated, fed up, tired, and simply wanted to quit and go back to a higher paying job in the private practice of law, I would call Bielka. And she would listen patiently. And then she would say, okay, are you done? I said, yeah. She said, good. Well, you know you cannot leave. Because if you leave, who's going to be there? Who's going to do your work? I miss Bielka terribly, and I would like to extend my heartfelt condolences to her widow, Judy Keenan. Thank you for being here today, Judy. So, I did. Made it. Thank you very much, Charles and Elizabeth, and I also must thank President Jeremy Travis for his many years and ongoing support of the Pre-Law Institute. The work being done at John Jay is being noticed by many law schools. And like I said, I'm one of those beneficiaries who have been to John Jay and have recruited people and convinced people to leave New York, which is okay. You can come back. To leave New York if that's the best thing for you at the moment. Pursue your law school education somewhere else and definitely come back to the city or wherever you decide to be. So the work at John Jay is being very, very, very noticed by many law schools. So when I talked to Charles and Elizabeth about what they wanted me to talk about today, the topic that kept coming up is about, what about diversity in the profession? Where is it? Where are we doing? And at first, my reaction was like, here we go again. Because I've been in legal education for 23 years. I don't look it, but I've been in legal education for 23 years. And this conversation has been going on for more than 23 years. So I can give you statistics, because I did my research, went to the ABA page, American Bar Association, to see, and it says here, the ABA approved JB minority enrollment. What you will find from there are just that, statistics. And what statistics tell us is that for years, the percentage of minorities in law schools have been 30, has never gone up more than 32, 33%. So, for the academic year 2013, 2014, it was reported, let's see, that approximately 30%, again, of minorities were represented in law schools across the country. That's nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing when you consider what's going on in our country. That's nothing when you consider how we need more lawyers, diverse lawyers, lawyers of color, women. Here's an issue. We have started seeing a dip. For a number of years, the enrollment of women in law school was 50-50, and we're beginning to see it turn out in terms of the number of women. We're now like around 45, 40% at some law schools. Again, this is all depends regionally on which law school you end up, et cetera, et cetera. So as I thought about what to say, I have to tell you that, and President Travis gave me the okay to talk about personal experiences, which is great. Because this one is particularly cool. Approximately a week and a half ago, we were amazingly honored to be invited to the Supreme Court for a private meeting with Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Okay, so let me just tell you that my mother's name was Sonia, from Puerto Rico. My mother didn't speak any English, okay? So when Sonia Sotomayor became the justice, I tried to explain to my mother what that meant. And she was like, oh, okay. And I'm like, here's state court, she's been here, then she went to federal court, and that's another court. And she was like, okay. And the only thing she could say, every time she would get mad at me or wanted me to pay attention, she said, recuérdate, yo soy Sonia como la jueza. Remember, I'm Sonia like the justice. So for me to be able to meet Sonia Sotomayor in person was an unbelievable experience. The president of the Latino Law Student Association, which happens to be a woman, this year, Adelina Malave, stood up and asked her, Justice Sotomayor, what is your advice, what would be your advice to me as a woman, as a Latina, starting out my career of why should I do this and why should I continue? And this woman is obviously about to finish law school, has been through the rigor of law school, and has dealt with everything that has occurred in law schools in the past couple of years. That has not been pretty friendly it has not been friendly at all to people of color and minorities. And she looked at her and said, because you have to. You have to, not only for you, but more importantly, you have to for your community, for your brothers and sisters, for your neighbors, for the people that are coming after you. You have to. So there it is. How many John Jay students are here today? Can I raise a hand? Hi, come on. You have to. You have to. Now, what can I give you as advice? As I said, I have dedicated my profession to trying to encourage, support, and help you in the path of getting to law school and through law school. So the first thing you got to do, stick to your academics. I love what President Travis said just a little earlier about his commitment to making sure that you graduate with strong academics and ready to go to law school. You are in control of your GPA. And nothing substitutes a GPA. Can I please say that again and you hear? Nothing substitutes a GPA. Yes, I'm very happy if I see in your academic record or in your resume that you've been president of XYZ fraternity or that you've been involved. But if I see a GPA that is not that good, I'm going to question your judgment. I'm going to question your judgment because at the end of the day, you're here to study. You have all the resources around you. I keep meeting every time I come here these wonderful professors and wonderful academic leaders that are here to help you. Take advantage of that. Again, nothing substitutes an undergraduate GPA. The LSAT is another story. Now for that, I'm going to refer you to my dear friend, Carolyn Nelson. Carolyn, where are you? She's the expert. She's the real thing. And she's your professor here, I believe. Enough said. I took the LSAT twice because the first time I was going to study on my own. You know how long that lasted? I came up with an excuse every step of the way. And in my day, mind you, before computer, it looked like a huge, because everybody didn't even know what a phone book is or was. For those of you who remember phone books, the prep book for the LSAT was like this thick and had very, very slim pages. And I would sit there and fall asleep and whatever. I went and took the LSAT the first time, and I was like, forget it. I'm packing up and not even consider it. And it was because of a mentor, and I'm going to get to mentors in a minute, those alumni and lawyers in the room. You have a duty. So it took a mentor who just decided that she was going to be nice to me because I was working as a banker in Boston. And she happened to be the general counsel for the bank. And one day told me, why are you not going to law school? It's like, my reaction was, because my first language is not English, I will never make it. And she said, that's crazy. Well, but the LSAT was a huge challenge. I took it once. I went back to her and said, I'm not doing this, I'm going back. And she said, yes, you are, you're taking it again. And it's like, no, I'm not. And she was, yes, you are. And she said, I'm gonna pay for it. And I said, okay. No, I'm gonna take it. And she paid for my prep course. And that time, I think it was, Stanley Kaplan was the only thing that was, this is 30-something years ago, folks. So I don't really, but anyway. So I made it, and the rest, please go talk to Carolyn Nelson. Thank you for being here, Carolyn. Lastly, this is a topic that I want to treat seriously and carefully, because again, my commitment here and coming here today is to make sure that every one of you that is sitting out there considering law school goes to law school, applies and gets in. So while at the same time I'm saying that, I'm going to say be wise and have good judgment when deciding which law school you're going to go to. And make sure you understand what your financial situation is going to look after you graduate from law school. The loans will find you. The fact that you decided to follow your dreams of being a Manhattan district attorney, which is probably one of the most prestigious positions you can get in the country, it's not going to be an excuse to the loan people saying that's why you can't pay your loan, because you have to pay your rent in New York, and you have to pay for food, and you have to pay for clothing. So while you're making your decision, again, let's just take for granted that you're going to law school. So I'm not going to worry about it. You're going to law school. You got to make sure and realize what your financial picture is going to be after law school. Because the worst thing I see every day, ladies and gentlemen, is the anger and the complete and total, I mean, there was the survey of law school student engagement just issued an opinion. Aaron Taylor, who's the assistant dean at Arkansas, commented on the impact that law school debt is having on the emotional state of law school graduates. There is nothing worse than having to get a job and have to go to a job you hate just because you have to pay your debt. And you have to pay your debt because there's no easy way around it. So as you go, choose wisely. Just because the big name of a law school with no money attached to that, and you're going to end up with a law school debt of $150,000 or $200,000, I mean, you got to figure out how the impact that that's going to have in your life. So be careful and have good judgment. And the good people like Charles and Elizabeth and everybody at that institute are here to help you navigate that decision. I make my commitment, just call me, I will come back, I will talk to you over the phone. They know how to reach me. I'm here for you. It's not an easy decision, because when you get accepted to, oh my God, we always wanted to get into XYZ, and I'm not naming them, and you only got into this, or you got into NYC with no money. And they start putting those loans. I mean, we all think we're going to do well in law school. Lawyers in the room, who went to law school thinking, it's okay if I end up in the bottom 50% of the class? Raise your hand. Who did? No one. No one. And the problem is that the jobs that pay the most are typically those that have the most stringent requirements, when you graduate that are looking for, regardless of where you go, the top 10% of the class. And let me tell you this statistical, imagine this. First of all, we're only 30% of the law school representation in law school. Then you have to go through law school and end up in the top 10. How does that work? How does that work? I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So keep that in mind as you go forward and as you apply to law school and begin making those very, 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 very tough decisions. Finally, alums of John Jay, practicing lawyers in the room, raise your hand. Hi. Okay. We need you more than ever. We need you more than ever. We need you to be mentors, and true mentors. Mentors that open doors, that network these students with your professional network, that facilitate internships for the students, that find jobs, help them find jobs. As President Travis mentioned, I've been involved with the National Association for Law Placement for mainly 22, 23 years. And the issue of representation of minorities in the legal profession is the same. The top firms are the only ones that are part of NOW. Why? Because NOW has very hefty membership fees, so only the top law firms participate in NOW. So when they give us statistics on who is in their law firm, it's always very skewed. The only thing I gotta tell you is that at the partnership level, when you're really making the good bucks, okay? At the partnership level, the representation of minorities is still at 3%. And the same thing with women. And women of color are below 3% when it comes to partnerships. So those of us that are in positions to, you know that phrase, pull somebody up, it is now the time to do it. And it's time to reach out to someone sitting in this room that could benefit from your professional network. Yes, you can tell them stories about law school. I am sure they'll love to hear it. But the most important thing they want is your support when it comes to opening doors and calling that very dear friend of yours that went to law school with you and is now a partner and saying, you know what? I want you to read so-and-so's resume. Please consider it. You don't need to tell them to take them. At least consider them, right? That's what President Obama is asking, by the way. Nothing else. Please consider them. And open those doors so that these students can have meaningful employment while in law school and, of course, after law school. This is an amazing day. I congratulate John Jay, President Travis, Charles, and Elizabeth for continuing this work. I have to tell you, I don't know of any other place in the country that does this type of event for their undergraduate students and their graduates. So please take advantage of all the resources that you have in front of you. I am available. I am publicly making myself available. Elizabeth and Charles know how to find me. I look forward to hearing about how many of you, not how many, where you end up going to law school. And of course, I look forward to welcoming you as members of the bar. Thank you, and God bless.
So, I'm not going to keep you from eating any longer, but I just have a few comments that I have to make. First of all, let me just introduce myself to those of you who do not know me. I'm Charles Davidson, and I am the director of the Pre-Law Institute. I just want to say just a couple comments, and I'm going to keep them very brief because I want to sort of put in action what this day is about, right? And I think Jose made a very important point, and I'm going to talk on the other side of that coin. And Jose made a call to all of the attorneys and all of the judges and all the legal professionals out there to mentor the students who are here. But I'm going to make a call to the students who are here, right? And because the call to you is, here's an opportunity, and you're going to have many in your life, but I want you to be the people and become the people who take full advantage of these things. You're seated at tables with people who have expertise, who have knowledge, who have experience. I want you all to become the people who take advantage of that, who learn to network, who learn to develop relationships, who learn to nurture those relationships, right? So as you're at this table, I want you to talk to the people who are sitting with you. And whether they're lawyers or whether they're your classmates, I want you to talk about, what's your vision? Like, why are you here today? Like, where are you going? Because it's wonderful to say, you know, I've got to take an LSAT and I've got to get the GPA up, and that's crucial. Anybody who's come to see me in the office knows that's all I want to talk about, right? Or that's part of what I'm talking about. But what is the big thing that anybody who's come to my office also knows is that you have to have a vision, right? It's not enough to have a plan, right? You have to have a vision, because the plan will fall apart. I'm going to tell you that already. I'm going to ruin the secret for you. Your plan is going to fall apart. Your vision will not, right? You need to figure out why you're here and where you're going with this, right? And so I want you to take this opportunity to share your vision, right? And if you don't have a vision, this is the moment to start thinking about it, right? Why am I here? And what am I doing with this? And who am I going to serve? Right? Because it's great to go to law school, and it's great to become a partner, and it's great to make the money, right? And I love it, and I want you all to do that, and I want you all, and Vice President Rosengart and I, we want you to give the money back to us and to help us. We want you to do all those wonderful things. So become partners. I am fully supportive of that vision, right? If that's your vision, I'm going to support you 100%. At the same time, and it's wonderful to do that. At the same time, I want you to remember that part of why we do this, though, is that for every one of us sitting here, every one of us knows many people who are not here, and for whom this is beyond all imagining, right? A day like this, right? We're so fortunate. So often we talk about what John Jay students don't have and where they've come from and all of the disadvantages that we all have faced, right? But the truth of the matter is, there are people on the corner of 10th Avenue who could never even imagine being in a room like this, who could never imagine being with panelists who come from all these great law schools, to talk about the things that they do and the things that you all can do, right? So I want you to remember that as you sit here, you are part of a very, very elite and select group of people in this country and on this globe. And I think we have to remember that whatever we do it for ourselves, but we've got to do it for someone else as well, right? So I want that to be part of the vision too. So whatever your vision is, put that in there, okay? Finally, I just want to say that I am just so pleased and so proud of all of you, and I'm speaking to the students still. I'm so proud of all of you for coming today, because what it tells me is how committed you are to following a dream and doing something that's important to you. You could have been anywhere today, and I know that John Jay, there's a million things you can do on a Friday, and there are a million things you can do at home, and Netflix is always there, right? And so your presence here, right, tells me everything that I need to know about you, right? So I have every confidence in every person who's shown up here today. If you want to go to law school, we'll make it happen, right? It's not a question for me. It's not even interesting to me, right? I'm more interested in who you're going to be when you get there, right? I'm less interested about the admissions process. That's a moment in time. You're going to press a submit button at LSAT, and it's out of your hands, right? The question is, who are you, and who do you show up as when you get there? Right? And that's what I think our work is. So I just want to thank you all for coming, and I want to say just a few more special thank yous to all the panelists who showed up today, who were just amazing, who I hope gave you all extraordinary insight into all aspects of the process. I want to say thank you to the senior administrators who make this day possible. I want to say thank you to Jose for coming from Maryland to speak to you all so enthusiastically. I want to say a thank you to Elizabeth Broccoli and Melanie Monzon. Where's Melanie? Who really put this entire day together between the two of them. I did very little, honestly. I hate to say that, but I did very little to make this day happen. They did it all, really, they did it all. I want to say thank you to the facilities people who put this all together, and to the AV people who made this microphone possible. Really, the special events people. There's so many people who make a day like this happen, and I just want to say thank you to them all. My last point is this. I want to make a shameless plug for your participation in pre-law programming. Anybody in here, and that means alum, that means anybody in here can sign up on our listserv, and you can see the activities that we have going. I just encourage everybody in here to get onto the listserv. We have a few things that are coming up that I just want to bring to your attention, just in case you don't get on the listserv today. We have in honor of Vielka, we want to let you know that we have a scholarship that's coming up on board, which is the Vielka Wholeness Scholarship, and that's for any pre-law institute student who is interested in doing a public interest internship. We have money for you. Okay? If you're interested, the applications will come out soon, but I want you to keep your eye open for that. The second thing that's really interesting, and this is happening on April 8th, we're bringing to John Jay some of the most well-known attorney generals around the country. They're going to come and do a panel for you all. This is specifically done for John Jay. We're bringing attorney generals in from around the country to talk about the work of the attorney general's office. It's an incredible place. Everybody thinks about the DA's office. I want you all to start thinking about the attorney general's office as well. Incredible place, lots of great work. We're bringing in some really good people, so I want you to think about that for April 8th. The final thing, two things that I'd like to say is that I'm teaching a class in April, the first time we're doing a class on what we're calling our law school preparation program. And I'm going to be teaching a class to help you work with cases and statutes and to give you the skills that you're going to need on day one of law school. So we'll be advertising that as well. And then finally, we have a summer program with the great Carolyn Nelson, who is going to be doing our LSAT prep again this summer. So that application will come out. All of that to say is, I want you to network now. I want you to talk to your people at the table. I want you to get up and talk to people who you want to talk to. I want you to make contacts today. I want you to give numbers and emails and just really maximize this opportunity in the best way you can. And again, if there's any way we can support you at the Pre-Law Institute, we are happy to do it. We really are. So enjoy your lunch, and thank you so much for coming.